Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
Truth, lies, shenanigans. 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 It's the TLS show, coming to you live from the TLS show. It's the TLS show, coming to you live.
Man, I love our new song. Welcome to Truth, Lies, Shenanigans podcast, where your favorite hosts bring you the most interesting topics of the week to discuss and ask the question, is this truth, lies, or shenanigans? And of course, we always try to have fun with some shenanigans of our own along the way with amazing guests, games, and spirited conversation. My name is Neo Nix, and for this week's show, we have our favorite British doctor back, Dr. Phil Heaton. With everyone cooped up at home, teleworking more often, people are still scared to go to the gyms. Today, he wanted to talk to us about how important it is to maintain healthy joints in this post-COVID world we live in. Then our main topic, we'll talk about Canada dealing with a major protest of truckers, anti-vaxxers, and others descending on the Canadian Capitol building. In Quick Fire, we'll discuss abused Black kids dying at a higher rate during the pandemic. And a leader in the anti-work movement makes a mockery of the movement. And in Shenanigans the Game Show, at the request of your hosts, we're playing 7-Second Challenge. All right, before we get into the show, look at Lizzie's face. Before we get into the show, let me introduce you to our amazing hosts for the next hour. First up, the professor, journalist, editor, and sports intern mentor at ESPN out of Washington, D.C., Miss Lizzie Enders.
What's up, everyone? Happy Sunday, fun day. Kind of hurting, y'all. I'm tired. Been up watching tennis all night. Props to Rafael Nadal for his 21st Grand Slam championship. Seethe, Novak Djokovic, seethe. Seethe. All your unvaccinated glory.
Rafael Nadal won, huh? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Nadal won. He beat Daniil Medvedev in 5 sets. It was a great match. So if you get a chance, if you have nothing to do, get a chance to watch it on ESPN, please do. It was a great 5-setter. But we are near the end of January. It's the last Sunday in January. February is coming up. A lot of good things coming in February. Black History Month. The Washington football team will be revealing its new name on Wednesday, on the 2nd. So everyone,
I heard some former players don't like it.
Yeah, you can't please everybody. I mean, they have no say so. They didn't say anything about the old racist name, so I don't want to hear anything about it.
Fair enough. All right, our gamer, tech guru, and rock star with a rock band Fallen Machine, coming to you from Sudbury, Ontario, Mr. Robbie Rock.
What's up, everyone? Happy Sunday Fun Day. I had another great week. It was still kind of chilly up here, but I got to spend some time with people I love. I played a lot of music, and I introduced my wife to a video game called Katamari Damacy. I'm afraid that I created a little bit of a monster, and it's really fun.
What is this? Repeat it again?
Katamari Damacy.
Oh, okay.
Katamari Damacy.
New to me.
It's a Japanese cult classic where you basically roll a ball and just keep collecting stuff until you get bigger and bigger. If you haven't played it, it's just stupid fun.
It sounds like Pokemon or something.
Oh, God, no. No.
They're going to call it calamari. Black folks going to call it calamari Damacy. Calamari Damacy.
But I'm pretty excited today. The U.S. and Canada men's soccer teams are facing off in Hamilton, Ontario. This is a World Cup qualifier. First half's already over. Canada's up 1-0. So that being said, both Canada and the U.S. are at the top of the bracket. I hope that we both get through.
Hopefully we do.
Yeah.
All right.
I have no faith in the men's team. No faith in the men's team. So
Oh,
go Canada.
there you go. Wow. Oh, wow. Okay. Wasn't expecting that. All right. Our college student, guitarist, and aspiring comedian coming to you from the campus of the University of Maryland, Ellen Dole.
What's Ellen? Welcome back. Welcome back.
Muted.
Oh, she muted.
Oh, sorry. You guys couldn't hear me complain about how I'm freezing my ass off. I'm not. I don't have your Canadian abominable snowman blood, so I'm suffering. I just can't do it. In the spirit of playing Katamari, playing classic games, I've been spending my Sunday playing some old Sega games. Played some Sonic.
Did you say
so I'm
Sega?
just
Yeah.
yes.
Sega.
So
Like
you,
I grew
so
up.
you, so you,
Sega.
so you
Sega
pronounced it
Genesis.
correctly. Everyone else pronounced it Sega.
There
That's
you
what
go.
that's what the
Make it
game referred to it as. Sega.
Yeah, that's their fault. They can't, they put that on them. But yeah, just enjoying my time inside because I'm not strong and I can't bear these elements. So yeah,
Oh, wait.
so lazy.
Latoya Blakely says Sega. she repeated it.
Sega. Yeah,
All
that's
right.
right.
All right. Well, good to have you, Ellen, this week. So, Gianni is off today working on the Beyond the Scars podcast. Their next episode drops on Wednesday. Don't miss it. Make sure you subscribe on Spotify, Facebook, Google, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere you listen to podcasts. Go to beyondthescars.show. All right. Let's get into our quickfire. Just jumping right in today. All right, it's time for our quick fire where our hosts have some topics they want to share, but we only have 3 minutes to discuss and 1 minute to hear from the audience. So we do ask you type your questions fast. Any topics where our hosts won't shut up, we will be using our dreaded mute button and they can save their comments for the after show. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. I am first up. So data
Can you
was just.
Sorry, go ahead.
What'd you say?
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So data was just released from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services that says tracking child abuse deaths in the United States, and the data is actually from 2020 during the height of pandemic, but it found that more white children died, 560, followed by
Black children, right?
black children, which was 504 people, 504 children. But it's important to note, black people only make up about 13% of the population. So that means there were nearly 6 black children killed out of every 1,000 children, whereas it was nearly 2 white children out of every 1,000. Now, the articles fail to give any conjecture as to why this is the case. So what are your thoughts as to why abused black children die at such an alarming rate? Again, we're looking at 560 white children, 504 black children in 2022. So, what do you guys think? Let's start with Robbie.
I believe that there are socio-economic factors that are at play, and this is why we see the disparity. So, like you were saying, 560 versus 504. I would like to see a breakdown of what the financial situation of these families, because poverty typically will breed this kind of atmosphere. And the gaps that were in the system pre-COVID are even bigger. There's less visibility for the kids because they've been doing remote learning, not going out, less reporting. It's multifaceted. There's many contributing factors.
What do you think, Liz?
I think I pretty much believe what was quoted in the article, in which one of the officials said the numbers that we know of are not reflective of the numbers that are experienced or being reported. Again, there are almost 370 million people living in the United States. 12 to 13% of that population are African Americans. I think, like Rob said, a lot of these cases are not being reported. A lot of those children who aren't African American, particularly white children, aren't in the system. And so I think that's why you're seeing, this shift in numbers, if you will. And I'm not saying that, a lot of Black kids have not, suffered during the pandemic, that a lot of Black children haven't died, that their numbers haven't increased. But I don't think when you don't have a fair amount of reporting, I don't think you can really, base this on actual facts of the totality of the situation.
So you're thinking there's an error here?
I just don't think we have all the data.
Okay.
I don't think we have all the data.
Ellen, your thoughts?
Yeah, kind of like what Rob was saying is that these kids aren't in school, so people aren't able to spot red flags like they were before, and these disparities are not linear, they're exponential. So if you apply more stress to the situation, such as a pandemic, the disparity is just going to continue to enlarge. So these numbers are not surprising because you're just the pandemic added more fuel to the fire, so it just
Yeah.
it made it worse.
And my quick thoughts. So I remember as a child getting beat by my aunt with what my cousins called a cat o' nine tails. It's a leather belt
Oh.
that was frayed at the end with 9 little tails. I looked it up, and as an adult, and sure enough, it was a tool used by slavers. It was a whip, basically used by slavers. So beating and abuse is how parents disciplined, how especially Black parents were taught to discipline. So, and then, that's how their parents did it. That's how their grandparents disciplined. I mean, it stems directly from slavery. And people forget this, that, when the South, that's the way people discipline. And so that's the way Black people discipline their children. So it's not surprising that the numbers are higher to me, for Black families. People think slavery is not directly affecting us today, but there has to come a point where we break the cycle.
I agree with you 100%. But also, let's add to that. There's this myth in the United States that white people don't discipline their children.
Oh
That
no,
white people,
especially Southern parents.
or even up north, like it falls across the board in the United States. And I think sometimes that plays into the PR we see surrounding these numbers.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I would love, it would be great if we can get like an accurate number, because honestly, none of these numbers should be going up.
No.
It's sad if it's
Yeah.
more white children, more Black children, or whatever. But there's this idea in this country that only Black people or only minorities beat their kids, and let me tell you, that is not true.
Yeah.
That is not true.
Oh, it's not true. Not only, but there's a disparity, I think. But
Yeah.
Mike Winter says mental health, poverty, and socioeconomic disparities. Jacqueline Robinson says, I suspect the gaps are definitely attributed to socioeconomic conditions as well as cultural differences. How many of these cases are not reported because of what goes on in our house stays in our house? Quote. Melanie Rochelle James says, people need to get over it. It has always happened this way. Mike Winter says, victims of abuse unfortunately tend to abuse. And Melanie Rochelle James continued with, when are we going to break the generational curse? And I agree with that. When are we going to break that? All right. So are we calling this truth, lies, or shenanigans?
It's a sad, sad truth.
Sad truth.
I guess we'll call it truth because
Calling it truth.
people are dying.
It's sad.
People are
Yeah.
dying.
Really sad.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ellen's got truth as well.
Yep.
All right. So that is our quick fire. And then now, Ellen, you're up next.
Yeah, so this is so much less important than what we just talked about and what we're going to talk about next. So brace yourselves.
All important.
Shocker. A interview between a Reddit moderator and a Fox News anchor went bad. So this Reddit moderator goes on Jesse Waters to discuss r/anti-work, which is a subreddit with 1.6 million people. The actual purpose of the subreddit is to show labor exploitation, toxic work environments, relentless bosses. Many of the posts consist of conversation between abusive managers and discussions of people leaving toxic work environments and finding more fulfilling, less exploitative jobs. So the interview was awful. Jesse Waters used to be he had a man on the street show under Bill O'Reilly where he would find unqualified people to talk about stuff going on in the left to make the left look bad. So he did this here. The Reddit moderator was not eloquent. She made the movement look disorganized and rooted in laziness. Said the workday should be whatever people want, and Waters was eating this up. He laughed out loud when she said that she walks dogs 25 hours a week for work. So the subreddit went private, which doesn't happen. And
It is kind of
totally
funny.
yeah, it's great. It's ridiculous. Like I mean, it was a perfect interview. It was just so awful.
For them, yeah, for Fox News, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it went private. People have discounted the movement for being lazy. So my question is, can a few poor representatives destroy a movement, or can it be redeemed if the movement is important enough?
Lizzie?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look at Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter, I think, is a perfect example. It started out as this movement that was not just necessarily towards, all Black people, like Black History Month. It had a specific purpose. And
Yeah.
then it kind of morphed into this nationwide movement that included all other facets of what it means to be a Black person, right? And not have equal rights in this country. But then it was led by people who had ulterior motives, who were, using money for their own benefit, who were doing all of things outside of what the intended purpose was. And now when you hear Black Lives Matter, more often than not, people think it's a joke. Look at Tamir Rice's mom. Tamir Rice was the 12-year-old who was killed for playing in a park. He was playing with what I think was a toy gun that the cops mistook for a regular gun. And so Black Lives Matter used his name in one of their promos a couple of years ago. I think it was last year, if I'm not mistaken. And his mom went off because she said they have no right to use his name for monetary purposes. So I think, I believe one bad move can change the entire
Real
movement.
quick.
Very quick. Can a few poor representatives destroy a movement? Yes. Can a movement be redeemed if it's important enough? Also, yes. I applied, when I thought about it, I just kind of employed corporate culture mentality to it, because you can clean house, you can rebrand, or you can focus on getting back on brand if you have the correct leadership in place after you've cleaned up.
And I'm just going to agree with Rob and Liz, but Ellen, did you have any final thoughts?
No, I think both points are true. I think that this person coming on, and especially going on Fox News with Jesse Waters, I think it made it look so terrible. Like it was a dog shit interview. If I didn't know anything about what the movement was, then I would think that this is a bunch of lazy people. But if you go on the subreddit and see what the top posts are, it's people being, it's like bosses getting on people for not standing up during their shift if they like have chronic back pain or like broken. I mean, it's just like ridiculous stuff. It's a valid movement, but this was bad.
Yep. All right.
So thank you to subreddit. I have no idea what a subreddit was until you brought the topic to the table. So thank you.
I'm so glad.
I think a bunch of people online are probably searching up what is this. Jose says, it says dog shit interview. Love it. Jacqueline Robinson says, unfortunate because BLM and other movements are discredited because of the foolishness of a handful of bad actors. All right. Are we calling this truth, lies, or shenanigans?
Shenanigans.
That was I watched the interview. It was pretty silly, actually. I mean, you couldn't help but to laugh at it. I mean, let's be honest. It was
and that's what happens when you have a movement that is totally started online through social media, and it doesn't have a leader. It doesn't have any criteria or any laws or anything that goals that this is what we are opposing. This is our purpose.
Okay.
It's unrefined. Yep.
All right. Let's bring in our special guest Dr. Phil Heaton.
The real Dr. Phil. The real,
The real
Dr.
Dr.
Phil.
Phil. That's right. The real Dr. Phil. That's what we're going to call him. Hey, Dr. Phil. Welcome. Welcome back to the show. We're so happy to
Hi
see you.
guys.
You look so relaxed.
Oh, I've been enjoying watching the first segment of your show, and some of the passionate topics that you guys already started are so current and so brilliant. So well done to you guys, and thank you again for inviting me to another episode of your amazing show.
Well, thank you for joining us. So, Dr. Phil is a consultant orthopedic surgeon in the UK and an avid athlete. Now, Dr. Phil, our audience might remember you from our last season, season 2, episode 21. But if you don't mind, remind us a little bit about your background and how your wonderful sons, Buju and Little Phil, are doing.
Yeah, thank you for bringing them into the context. Buju and Little Phil are amazing young men in their own right. They're both over 6 foot, so I'm the dwarf in the family now. They're both doing very well physically and professionally. Little Phil is one of the UK's fastest up and coming sprinters, and he's aspiring for the 2024 Paris Olympics 100-meter sprint and the 200-meter sprint.
Wow.
And Bush is qualified from
Amazing.
university and is actually working professionally now in the maths and economics side of professional life. So he's enjoying paying taxes, I've said to him, which is a wonderful feeling for a father to have.
All right, so you wanted to talk about joint health. Let me just start out with a quick question. I've been getting treatment on my neck for a herniated disc, right? Now I play competitive volleyball about 3 to 4 times a week. I do a lot of overhand hitting. So the first question I asked my doctor is, should I stop playing volleyball? And he said no immediately, unless it's a direct cause of the injury. He said um, that he's finding through the pandemic that everyone stopped moving around, stopped doing activities, and their joint and orthopedic issues are worse than the people are actually out there doing stuff, especially through the pandemic. So there's been more neck issues, hip issues, back issues. So what are your thoughts?
Absolutely. Your doctor is absolutely right. And I'm pleased that he actually said that, because some of the doctors would have given you the wrong advice to stop. No, you should not stop. You see, movement is essential, and joint movement, every kind of movement, is essential. So unless you're going to be directly in harm's way and get knocked over by a 40-kilogram, 40-ton vehicle in your sport, you should really carry on with your sport, because we know that movement encourages lubrication. The special cells in our bodies are in the joints, the synovial cells, and the cartilage cells. They rely on movement as the signal to instigate their receptors to kickstart the production of fluid, whether it be oily syrup type synovial fluid, or just draw and suck in more water into the joint. And everybody would understand that once there is oil on the kitchen floor, it's very slippery.
So
That's
movement
what
is
you want
key
on
to getting
every
that.
joint. So
So
that's what
movement is key to
happens with
getting that synovial fluid moving.
absolutely.
Okay.
So your doctor is right in saying you should carry on, because at the end of the day, volleyball is not so much a contact sport, number one. So no one hopefully is coming over the net to attack you and tackle you. But it's still high impact, because you're going to jump to quite significant heights. And I'm actually quite impressed about how high you guys get on the volleyball court when you want to smash the ball.
Yeah.
Now, it's the impact of landing that is going to cause you more pain in your neck when you land. But you can overcome all of that by regularly doing what we call active recovery. There are inversion tables, there are
I have
chiropractors who
one
will
actually, inversion table.
exactly, who would apply traction on your neck in a controlled environment. And all of those things are essential. They will help. And that's the beauty of the post pandemic environment. We've got so much technology now to help people. The problem with the pandemic and most of the governments globally is I think people over panicked into making us all stay indoors, do less, and not be as active. And if you look at most of the papers globally, patients have increased in weight by as much as 5%
Mm,
of their body weight.
weight gain. Yep.
Now, 5% of your body weight with physical inactivity is what causes that first picture I showed you. That's a real life patient picture. If you wouldn't mind, please uploading that.
Yep.
The
Absolutely.
clinical picture that you can see here uh,
Little
to
graphic picture
my
here.
left, exactly, to my left is the inner surface of the knee joint of a patient who I actually did a total knee replacement on. You can see to my right the outer half of that knee. The white glycerin cartilage on that surface is pretty healthy. That is what the picture of the inside half, which has no glycerin but just pure red sawbone exposed, looks like. And that is because as we get heavier, we take away water from the cartilage cells of the joint. And in taking that water away, there is complete compression across the joint. Now, this is another patient, and you can see here that the outer half of the knee, that's the left hand side of the picture, that's this side of the picture, has lost the gap in between the joint. And what then happens is sawbone crushes the joint and causes pain to the patient. And of course, we're only talking about the bone and joint today, but the effect of damage to the bone and joint is overstretched and slack ligaments, overstretched and slack muscles and tendons, which then means the joint can't actually do what it's supposed to do. And so pain becomes the primary issue.
All right. Let me get to some questions from our panel here. So, Ellen, did you have a question?
Yeah, so as someone not who's just in the pandemic like all of us and oftentimes has to hide away in my room for 2 weeks because I was exposed to COVID or something like that, but also as someone who may end up working remotely as a tech worker, what would you recommend for people to do to keep their joints moving if they're pretty much confined to their bedroom?
Right. And that's the beautiful question, Helen, because it reminds me so much of what we tried to do prior to the pandemic starting up. There were lots of apps that were coming up and popping up, and people trying to develop body weight exercises because,
Mhm.
after a while, the finances of the families become a priority, and gym memberships were becoming expensive for people. And so,
Mhm.
even before the pandemic, a lot of young people like yourselves, a lot of uh, tech companies were developing apps to allow people to undertake bodyweight exercises. And the beauty of bodyweight
Mhm.
exercises is you can do them on the spot, whether you're in the bathroom, in
Mhm.
a living room, in
Mhm.
the garden,
So,
just by
body weight
yourself without
exercises, those are just
expensive,
exercises with no weights, just using your own body weight.
just your body, just your own body weight. And you could
Mhm.
start off with simple things like jogging on the spot, standing on one leg for balance. You can do
Mhm.
jumping on the spot. You can make it as interesting as you want. And the truth is, there's
Mhm.
so many free videos on YouTube and other apps
Mhm.
nowadays. You could
Mhm.
easily log on to one of those and just follow them, and they're serialized by calendars as well. So
Mhm.
um, there are some for lower limbs, there are some for upper limbs, things like press ups, sit ups. You can join groups for fitness, and I mean, I sound like I'm advertising for these companies, but the fact of the matter is, there is
That's
so
funny.
much free
Mhm.
stuff out there that the
Mhm.
modern world, the modern man or woman should be fitter than our ancestors in the
That's
1950s.
true.
But the sad
Mhm.
truth is, we're not.
That's interesting.
Mhm.
That's true. Robbie, right?
Yeah, that's a really interesting point.
Yeah. Dr. Phil, I'm just curious, what are some of the more common health issues that you are experiencing now that we've been in the pandemic for 2 years? So just now we're seeing some prolonged inactivity. So what are the more common issues that you're seeing?
I think the biggest one is a global pandemic. The real global pandemic is what we in orthopedic surgery call it, and that's obesity. Obesity was rising before the pandemic, but the pandemic absolutely poured fuel on a blistering fire and just turned obesity into a real pandemic now.
Mm,
And the consequence of obesity is the simple fact that we are becoming too heavy for the engine that pumps blood in the body, and that's the
the
heart.
heart.
So the incidence of heart disease is rising. And if the heart is not working properly, then many other organs are going to be dysfunctional. So there's a rise in diabetic rates, there are rises in hypertension rates, there are rises in heart attack, myocardial infarction, and strokes. And then you move on to the joints, in particular in my specialty as a hip surgeon. One of the things I see the most is an increase in the rates of osteoarthritis. It used to be that patients in the 60s and 70s were the ones who developed advanced osteoarthritis. You can see, like in this picture here, there is significant wear and tear with the joint space completely eroded in that hip joint. And this is now occurring in younger patients, so 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, when in the past this was something you only saw towards the later stages of life. And that's because the greater increases in weight is causing the cartilage cells to lose their ability to retain function,
Hmm.
their plyometric functions in particular, their excursion, their ability to deform when load is applied to them is lost.
Mm,
And so the individual is left with a worn out joint prematurely.
mm,
And you'll be amazed at how quickly we degrade our joints. It only takes 5% weight and increase. So we're talking about the
mm,
average fellow weighing 200 pounds. If you say 10% of 200 is 20, you're talking about 10 pounds increase
mm.
is all you need to start creating havoc on your hip and knee joints in particular. Now, those are the bigger, more resilient joints. The smaller joints of the fingers, the joints in the spine, um, don't technically show up until 10 to 15 years after the initial damage. But the hip and knee are less forgiving because, we tend to have to put our body weight and center of mass through them every day.
Yep. So I thought it was interesting how you said the pandemic has created another pandemic of obesity.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lizzie, your question.
Um, just to piggyback off of that, I think the pandemic has also created another pandemic of mental fatigue, especially as it relates
You said
to
mental fatigue.
mental fatigue as it relates to movement. Like everyone here, I'm still in the house. I'm quarantine queen. So I haven't really done anything outside of my apartment of note, for almost 2 years now. But I still work, right? And so I have a job where either all day I am in meetings or I am editing. Like I'm a journalist, so I'm editing a lot of stuff. And so when I'm not in meetings, when I'm in meetings, I'm sitting at my desk like I am right now. But when I'm editing, I'm in my bed with my legs propelled and just editing. But I'm not moving. Like you mentioned, Dr. Phil, I'm not moving. I'm not moving. And so I appreciate that you gave us some tips on exercises that we can do in the house. And listen, I have a full gym downstairs in my apartment building. Haven't been to it because of the mental fatigue. One, I don't want to other people, but
Yeah.
two, I'm tired because I think a lot of what our employers have done during the pandemic, they've piled on more work. I definitely have more meetings now than I ever did. And so last week, Dr. Phil, I had a situation where I had a severe pain in my right knee. And I've never had any pains in my limbs ever. I was highly active before the pandemic. and I didn't know what it was. I was like, okay, is this early onset arthritis? Like, did I sleep on my knee, incorrectly in the bed? Like, I was
Yes, you
very
do.
worried. I started jogging in place. I started, trying to move because I was like, I can't have
Yeah.
this on top of everything else. I can't have this. So I appreciate the advice. But what do you suggest that I do to get me out of this spot, out of my bed, and downstairs to that gym? Because I do want to work out. And I have, put on some COVID pounds, even though I'm very petite. Aside from, boob weight, I'm very petite. And so if I gain weight, it show when you're short, if you gain even the slightest pound, it shows up on you immediately. And so
Oh yeah.
I'm just more concerned about, like, I don't want to get into the things that you're talking about where my joints start to be affected and start to erode and things like that. So
So you're
mentally,
asking how to get motivated, right? That's
exactly,
okay. Dr.
exactly.
Fields?
I think it's a multifaceted answer that would supply the different components of that question. And the first component of that facet would be the individual. The second component is the global industrial and technological application services that are out there. In terms of the individual, everyone on this panel is a success in the first place. And the things that have gotten you to be a success is the fact that you're motivated, you're thorough with your individual lives, you're very careful and plan your day successfully. And it's all about extending those three components to your fitness life. The way I view my body and the way we humans should view our bodies are, this is what gets everything done for me. This is what gets everything done for my family. This is what gets everything done for my professional life. So for every 8 hours that I spend in the hospital operating, there has to be the option of 8 hours to rehab that body, whether it be force myself to just sit in the gym, even if I'm not going to do anything, which is unlikely, but
Interesting.
make that
That's
time
interesting too.
available for yourself, because if you don't make that time available, you're absolutely right. Employers are going to insist on more work to be done because you're working from home, you're no longer traveling, you're no longer spending the travel time that they used to add to our working day. So the individual has to do a better job of insisting on looking after their body. Otherwise, everything I said earlier on is waiting for you in that order: the diabetes, the hypertension, the stroke. Type 2 diabetes is one of the other evolving pandemic. It's not quite global yet, but type 2 diabetes is closely correlated with obesity. It's not the genetic inheritance of type 1 diabetes. This is
I
diabetes that
have type,
occurs because
so I
uh,
have type
it's
1, and that's another thing that I'm concerned about with not
so
working out.
type 1 is not the same as type 2. Type 2 is
Right.
specifically correlated with obesity. But
Hmm.
we have seen as obesity increases globally, so is type 2 diabetes. And it's not something that you would wish on anyone. So if we can reverse these things, which, all of those complications that I mentioned of obesity are reversible. If we can as individuals insist on dedicating uh, some time to ourselves, 2 to 3 times a week is what it takes of physical dedicated activity, it reverses all of those conditions.
Awesome.
Going back to the second part of that answer, it's the bigger global companies. It is time well overdue that the technological companies start looking at modifying uh, their exercise machines so that they're not so militant looking. They're much more
Mm,
attractive. We want to
that's
draw
an interesting
people.
thought.
We want machines that are going to be able to
Fun.
do more than just scare the faint at heart, if you don't mind me saying.
Hmm.
It shouldn't just be the muscle guys or muscle girls that want to go to the gym. They should be more friendly. There should be better design and flexibility to allow those of us who are not so motivated to enter a gym, to come to a gym and see something that is friendly. Uh, I've been working with lots of innovative companies that are using virtual reality machines. They're using technological electrical stimulation to work on the different facets of fitness, speed, strength, balance, coordination, reflexive action. And all of these things are going to be able to help the future humans to become fitter because that's going to be what our planet depends on.
Okay. There's a few
You know what you just
questions online. We're running out of time.
just what he said that resonated with me was just going to the gym and just sitting there, even if you're not active. And obviously, you're going to go and be active. But like, I'm thinking about like, maybe if I just go and sit and absorb the
I like that
environment,
idea.
it would
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
motivating.
And then you just
Yeah.
have you'll figure out
Yeah.
something if you just set
I'll
aside
tell you a very
5
quick
minutes.
study. There was a very quick study done in Scandinavia where they looked at 200 people in two separate groups. The control group just went to the gym, sat in the gym over a 3 month period. The other group,
Mm,
obviously, were people who were members who exercise regularly. They actually saw, or as you would expect, that the other group who worked out ended up with better physiological parameters, which we would all expect. But the control group who went on to the gym but just sat in the gym and did no exercises, all of their physiological parameters also increased. And the
mm,
simple fact is, by being in a stimulating environment, you
It
release
motivates you.
more dopamine and serotonin.
Yeah.
These are hormones that the body sees as, oh, great, feed me this happy hormone. So it's not exactly a
okay.
bad thing to go
Okay.
to a gym and actually just sit down and be present in the gym and not work out. Obviously, if you
Okay.
get there, eventually you will do some workout, and that's the aspiration.
Unfortunately, we're
All
really
right.
out of
I love
time. I do want to get these comments in real quick. Latoya Blakely says, I recently bought a yoga mat. Now I just need to find a beginner yoga YouTube channel or something. Uh, she also said, we're not even going to talk about how much weight I've gained in the last 2 years. Um, Mike Winter says, I love my adjustable height desk. It keeps me from sitting at my computer forever. Yeah, I
Good
bought one of
idea.
those as well.
Yeah.
Mike Winter says, not boob weight. And then Latoya Blakely says, she says, hey, that's a real thing, LMAO.
So funny.
And Jeanette Brown says, I never realized what a gift it is to not fear the gym. And then one final question. What are your thoughts on cannabis used for medical purposes?
Well, I'm uh, genetically a Jamaican as well, even though I was born in the UK. And as a kid, we were always told that cannabis was something that you should never touch because it was marijuana, as it were, and ganja, as we say in Jamaica. But the medical field has just been turned upside down. If I look at my life from when I was a kid to now that I'm a consultant surgeon, um, it is it has many medical uses. It has to be done in the right environment. It has to be done with guidance. And
Mm,
I know there are friends of mine in Santa Monica, in Los Angeles, who've utilized medical marijuana for treatment of osteoarthritis as well.
Hmm.
And I believe one of them is running a study at the moment, which hopefully will be one of the first leading papers to prove that it is medically safe and useful to have marijuana or the
For
many other
pleasure.
names you want to call it cannabis, medical cannabis, as a treatment tool for osteoarthritis.
Okay. Well, we are out of time. I want to thank you so much for joining us today,
Thank you.
Dr. Phil Heaton, and telling
thank
Yeah.
telling us
Thank
about
you.
joint health. Are there any final thoughts or words that you have for everyone out there?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that we didn't get to talk about as well is nutrition. And I know you're running out of time, so I'll just say, it's important for us all to watch what we eat. Our ancestors, one of the perks that they have over us is they had to go out to hunt for their food. And so They rationed themselves, but they never spoiled themselves, and that's one of the things that the pandemic has also caused us to overdo. You know, we're always facing the fridge, going in and out of the fridge, and we've got to look at nutrition in a far better light as a generation.
Okay. Thank you again for joining us so much.
Thank you.
And we
My
will
pleasure,
definitely
guys.
look to have you back soon.
I look forward to it.
All right. Dr. Phil's great as always.
Maybe some things to think about. Very
And you should go to his.
inspirational.
You really should go to his Instagram page, Dr. Phil. Just look up Dr. Phil Heaton, and I'm telling you, he has some incredible videos of him working out. He was talking about this virtual reality thing that he's on. He actually has some real good videos of that. You should really, really check. And he's so fit. Oh my God, with his shirt.
He's freaking ripped.
He is.
He is ripped.
I mean, I don't know his exact age, but I know he's older than me, and he's just like, I'm just like, okay, goals, body
Let me
goals.
just
Right.
warn y'all, women around me with the ganja, with the weed, with the cannabis. I don't need that in my hair. I don't need that smell in my hair. So stay on your
I don't
side.
know. Mike Winter says cannabis for my broke knee? ? I'm not mad at it because
He's
I got to
like,
be honest.
wow,
I've seriously been thinking about it for my knees.
bald. He ain't got to worry about no hair.
He's bald.
Mhm.
All right, let's get into our main topic.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
All right, Robbie, you got some craziness happening right now in Canada. What's up?
Whew.
Yes, we do. We do. So I'm going to unpack quite a bit for you. Try to keep up. So the Freedom Convoy is occupying Canada's nation capital of Ottawa this weekend in the midst of a province-wide lockdown. Ontario is scheduled to start its reopening plan on Tuesday, February 1st. So there's nothing open in Ottawa. There's no indoor dining, but they do have mask requirements, and most businesses are closed because things are slow. The movement initially called for all truckers to drive to Ottawa to protest the vaccine requirements introduced January 15th by Canada on cross-border truckers, the same mandates that are in place for US truckers. So as the convoy picked up steam, it has become a vehicle for people to express their anger at the Canadian federal government and pandemic restrictions that they feel curb their freedoms, such as mandates, vaccine passports, lockdown measures, who call for more restrictions, or they're calling for no more restrictions, I should say. The organizers' intention this weekend is to take their fight to the doorstep of the federal government and demand to end all mandates against Canadians and respect the rights of those who wish to remain unvaccinated. There's also a video of protesters blocking the press from accessing areas and press being berated and verbally assaulted. You're not going to get your video, you're liars. So, not really upholding the freedom of the press. Now, hundreds of trucks and thousands of people are blocking the streets of central Ottawa, and there have been smaller support protests that sprung up across Canada. It should be noted that 85% of Canadian truckers are fully vaccinated and in compliance. So the main thing that protesters say they're against are any type of mandated mask, vaccines, gathering restrictions. They want all the restrictions to end from coast to coast. So that's why they're in Ottawa. Some have created signs asking Trudeau to resign. Through the montage, you've seen swastikas on Canadian flags, Confederate flags, signs that say "Make Canada Great Again." What? There's also a manifesto that's circulating to the Senate, the Governor General, and Canada Unity to take control and get rid of these restrictions. And I'm not really sure how that would work or how the feds would enact this request, because health policy in Canada is determined at the provincial level, not at the federal level. So to date, the protest has been peaceful, according to Ottawa Police. They have had to defuse tense situations and blocked roads, and they reported it was like a party-like atmosphere with the protesters that lasted late into the night. But today, tensions are getting a little bit tighter. There was a video of at least one protester jumping on the tomb of the unknown soldier. The Terry Fox statue, for those who don't know, is a young man who in 1980 ran across the country for cancer research after losing his right leg to cancer. He was someone who believed in science, which is something that a lot of the protesters take issue with, given their stance on the efficacy of masks and vaccine mandates. Neil, could you please pull up that tweet for me? So, staff and volunteers of the Shepherds of Good Hope were harassed and bullied by protesters. Just read the tweet for you. Hi there, thank you for letting us know about this. Earlier today, our staff and volunteers experienced harassment from Convoy protesters seeking meals from our soup kitchen. The individuals were given meals to diffuse the conflict. Management was then informed of the issue, and no further meals were given to protesters. Our soup kitchen is committed to providing meals to people experiencing and at risk of homelessness in Ottawa. This weekend's events have caused significant strain on our operation at an already difficult time. Now, the Ottawa homeless shelter that was harassed by these people has been receiving overwhelming support and donations from the rest of Canada since this came out. So kudos to those Canadians. Now, the reason that the truckers felt, or the protesters felt entitled to go into the soup kitchen is that they can't get takeout at a restaurant because they have to wear a mask and they don't believe in mask mandates and won't comply. So to me, that sounds like a natural consequence to your actions rather than a homeless shelter situation. So this begs the question of where the $8 million from the GoFundMe campaign to support these people went to, because this was supposed to be used for food, gas, and shelter. Also, the Rideau Centre Mall is one of the main staples in Ottawa, and it's a large place where people could go to warm up. Right? And when the Rideau Centre Mall was flooded by protesters who refused to mask up, despite mask requirements in the province of Ontario, management closed the mall early, and they closed it again today in order to protect their guests, tenants, and employees. Another point that I want to bring up is that when you look at the images in the media streams, you will see a remarkable lack of diversity, despite the fact that 1 in 5 Canadian truckers is South Asian. Online reports indicate that a lot of these South Asian truckers do not feel represented by the Freedom Convoy, nor were they invited to the party. And lastly, I want to talk about the organizers linked to the GoFundMe campaign, or the account. Quick side note is that it has been endorsed by the likes of Donald Trump Jr., Elon Musk, Don Cherry, Canadian former hockey analyst. And the main organizer is Tamara Lich. I love that name because if you know your lore, a lich is something that drains life. She's a member of the Maverick Party in Alberta, which is our Texas, and she's a backer of Wexit Canada, so a separatist movement. She has a history in organizing unity against government policies, so this is a rabble-rouser. The other main organizer is Patrick King, and this individual has a documented history of online racism. In one of his videos, he shares that there's an end game. It's called depopulation of the Caucasian race or the Anglo-Saxon. And that's what the goal is, to depopulate the Anglo-Saxon race because they are the ones with the strongest bloodlines.
Wow. Wow.
So it's interesting to note that also, before riding out to Ottawa, organizers refused to speak with local media. They threatened reporters with trespassing charges on land they didn't own. And all of that after calling the reporters dirty communists, telling them to go find a new country, and verbal confrontations. So many Canadians and Ottawans are feeling angry that a group of protesters has shut down and blockaded roads in Ottawa for an undetermined period of time in order so that in the name of freedom, they're happy to curtail ours. I really can't believe this is happening in Canada. So what say you, my friends? And is this another example of a noble idea being co-opted by someone with ulterior motives?
Let's start with Ellen.
Oh man. First of all, I'm so surprised by how these are like the most American Canadians I've ever seen. I didn't know that. I thought that our exceptionalism, this is I guess it's an example of exceptionalism that I thought it was unique to Americans, so that's kind of meta. But yeah, this is a mess. I don't think, I mean, I feel like probably similar to January 6th, a lot of the people who came here don't even necessarily know what they're doing. They just kind of know that they're angry for some reason. They feel like they've been infringed upon because they can't go to like they can't go pick up burgers without masks. But yeah, I don't think I don't think these people, I don't think that they know what they're doing. I think that, they might be, I think that they're convinced that they are doing this individually, but I think that they're, like how Americans act, since we have a bipartisan system, you kind of just do what the larger group thinks that you should be doing, which apparently is driving all these freaking trucks to Ottawa and, doing causing the kind of disruption that they caused to DC, our city, last year.
Yeah. All right, Lizzie.
Mhm.
Where is South Park when you need it? Blame Canada, blame Canada.
I was
I
waiting for
think
the song.
I think Robin Williams, the late Robin did it best. The late Robin Williams did it best at the Oscars. But I think one of the things that, again, we don't talk about, another iteration, another symptom of the pandemic, is the rise of human selfishness.
Mm.
The rise of
Mhm.
human selfishness. The idea that my issue, my reason for not wanting to wear a mask, my reason for not wanting to get a vaccination, my belief that I deserve to be in your private establishment trumps everyone else's need to be safe. And it pisses me off and it makes me sad. No one thinks about the common good, the greater good. All of these mandates are in place to attempt to keep everyone safe, both the unvaccinated and the vaccinated. In uncertain times, we're still learning things about this virus that has mutated at least 3 times right now.
Oh,
So it's just
it's way
it's
more than that.
selfish. It's I mean 3 times in terms of it causing like a
Major,
shift
major,
in how we act to
major
things.
variation.
Um,
Yep.
Yeah.
it's it's sad. It's really sad. It pisses me off. Again, we think a lot of times, a lot of Americans, we think y'all are different up in Canada.
Mhm.
Well,
I think
maybe
that.
not.
Yeah.
Maybe
Mhm.
not.
I thought
Speaking
so.
of that, you're there's another variant that's actually apparently more contagious than Omicron now. So
What's
just
the
Don't
name? Do
tell
you
me
have a
that.
name?
it's Omicron B22 or something like that. It's
That's
like a
boring.
They
Come
gotta
on,
come
I
up.
know I
Come
thought
on.
they were gonna come up with a different name, but
your own name.
it's like
Your own name.
but it's like
They
apparently
need the
way
hurricane
more
naming staff on this.
infectious than the original Omicron. They say it's gonna
Jeez.
overtake the original Omicron soon. But anyway, so my quick thoughts. I'm curious, Rob. How often do you see like protests like this?
Oh, this is a first, kind of like January 6th was a first for you, and Ellen and Liz hit it. This is a this is an export of American values. We haven't seen stuff like
Yeah.
this since the Clown Prince 45. We've really never seen anything like that, and he has helped infect Canadian culture in that respect because we are exposed to the social media and the Fox News pundits, the same bad ideas that poison your culture. Unfortunately, we're really exposed to now.
So I mean,
Mhm.
I do want to say the January 6th was new to us because it was an actual attack on
Mhm.
the government building. But yeah, we see these protests all the time with these ridiculous people coming in. Because I don't know, I guess
Yeah.
because I look at DC and then living here, I see it like constantly. I
Yeah.
guess it's like living in Ottawa, but we see these protests
Yeah.
constantly on the news. I mean, it's like the
Yeah.
pro-lifers were just here rallying recently, and then we've had, of
Yeah.
course, these January 6th people were here, and then it's just nonstop for us.
Yeah.
So when we see it in
I'm
Canada, we're like,
yeah.
what the fuck? This is
But,
not
Yeah.
I'm sure if I had a front seat to the Parliament lawn, I might see things differently. But I know that if you're going to manifest, do it at the seat of power. So that's the place to do it. So maybe a local would
Yeah.
go, "Now we see this shit all the time too." But
Yeah,
that's
because we've even
Yeah.
had
ridiculous.
truckers. We've
That's
had
how I feel.
truckers do this before, where they've actually come to DC and blockaded the entire beltway around DC, and they just stopped in the middle and just and that was their plan. I mean, so I'm just saying we see this. Unfortunately, we see it all the time. But these particular people, I mean, it's a shame that it's grown into a global problem, and it's grown out of Trump. And that's why even Trump tweeted today or something, or not tweeted. He can't tweet anymore. But Trump gave them a shout out today about what they were
But,
doing.
but make no mistake, protesting, especially as it relates to the United States, is a part of our
Positive.
democracy.
It's a
It's a
positive thing.
Yeah.
part of the democratic process. So I don't want people to think that we are anti-protest.
I'm all for
January
it.
6th was something completely different.
Completely.
It was something completely different. Something that I'm still not over. I mean, I can see the Capitol from my living room window. I'm still not over it. I'm
It was a
offended.
planned,
I'm still
orchestrated attack.
Yeah.
But this is kind of, Rob, in the same vein, kind of, if you will, of January 6th. It's not necessarily a protest to let me get my point across.
Mm-hmm.
It's violent in nature, at least the
It's
conversation
mean-spirited.
around it. Right? It's mean-spirited. It is racist. It's misogynist. It's all of these things based on what I want, my right to be
Selfish.
opposed to the government. And it's that's not necessarily democracy in my mind. There's kind of a difference in my mind. But no, we're seeing this more and more. We're seeing this more and more, and it's scary. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's,
Let's get to
you know, like I was saying, it has been peaceful to date, but online there were definitely the extremists who were calling for we're gonna take the Senate,
see
we're
that all
gonna
the time.
remove these people. Yeah,
We've heard it all the time.
And
That's why January 6th was so different, because we get those all the time. Those threats.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but no one ever actually happened. It never actually happened. And this was the first time they actually did what they said they were going to do.
Get another point, Rob, online. This is the result of social media, the
It is
good
social
and the
media.
bad.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a part of the bad, because January 6th would not have been as potent as it was if not for social media. All of those people
100.
got together because of social media sites. Hell, subreddit, social media.
Subreddit.
100%. There are definitely subreddits.
Liz learned a
like
new
crazy
word.
Subreddits for that. In your vocab.
It's scary. It's scary. It's
All right,
scary
let's
to
get
see
to these
that.
comments online because we're over time. Mike Winter says, not to tread on me and Confederate flag side, racism doesn't know political borders, as we all get to see. Jose says, this became a white supremacy gathering. Big people, real awesome. Picking on homeless people, real tough. Jacqueline Robinson, I'm so sorry this is happening to your country. Unfortunately, white supremacy, fascism, ignorance, and assholery have become global issues. Everything IQ 45 touches dies. You have my sympathy. Latoya says, SMFH sounds about right. They want to be served, but they don't want to allow the rules. They want to follow they don't want to follow the rules that would get them the service they want. SMH just like a reaction to COVID mitigation policies in general. And she agreed with you as well, Ellen. Jeanette Brown says narcissism is contagious. Mike Winter, as Americans, we really need to follow more global news. I happen to know a bunch of Canadians several of whom lean towards Canada's version of Fox disinformation. So I know about this in Canada. But also Eastern Europe, Albany, Hungary, Poland, Greece. And then Jose mentions that although the new variant is more contagious, they say it's less deadly, according to what she noted.
Yeah, but I don't want to, lose my limbs or, be stroking out.
Yeah, I mean it's still bad. I'm gonna be honest. I mean,
the worst thing about COVID is not death. This is what I keep trying to remind people.
long
Like,
term.
there's a lot that goes in COVID if you survive. There's a lot of bad that goes into COVID.
All right, are we calling this truth, lies, or shenanigans?
A lot, man. Truth, lies, like a lot, brother.
Got
A
lies and
lot.
shenanigans. I'm going with lies and shenanigans. Yeah,
Only because I have two hands, Rob. I only have two hands.
I mean, just because they want to get vaccine.
And when I say bullshit, Rob, I mean They're bullshitters. They're bullshitters.
Shenanigans. Nonsense.
Yeah, I need to know. It's all bullshit. That's
All right. Good topic, Rob B. All right, let's get to our game show. Close this out. All right, Shenanigans, the game show. Today's game is again the host's favorite 7-second challenge. Real simple. The app will give you a challenge. You have 7 seconds to complete, and you perform to complete and perform the challenge. If successful, you get a point. If you fail to do the challenge within the time or at all, then you get no points. Person with the most points get the final thought for the show. Looks like we're starting with Rob B today. All right, you got a little head start. Rob B, demonstrate how to eat noodles with chopsticks. 7 seconds, go.
All right. So this way, and then pinch.
Okay.
Pinch and scoop. Pinch and scoop.
All right, we'll give you this way. All right, correctly.
I love that.
All right, Rob B gets a point. All right, last time we got stuck was hopefully this app doesn't get stuck. Oh, Lizzie, you get. They asked us before. What is a sack butt? See if you can get it. See if you remember. It was. Lizzie, what is a sack butt?
She's like,
All right. It's a musical instrument. Yeah. Okay. All right. So Lizzie didn't answer. So she gets a no.
I think she got it right.
All right, Ellen, draw a picture of your pet. Oh, that's going to be so easy for you. You have 7 seconds.
I get that. My pet is asleep right
I don't have anything.
You have 7 seconds to draw a picture of your pet.
What the hell? Oh my god.
It's over. It's over. She lost.
It's not over. Draw a picture of your pet.
Yeah, I lost.
Okay, yep, you did.
That was like 20 seconds.
This
All
is
right.
Ellen, do you have a pet? Ellen, do you have a pet?
So at not like in my apartment that I'm at now, but I have 2 cats at home.
All right.
Like at my parents' place. Yeah, I'm a big cat girl. Crazy cat woman for sure.
Oh, this app is acting crazy. All right, Robbie, do any famous rap verse. Any famous rap verse. Rob B. Rock, any famous rap verse. You ready? You got 7 seconds. Go. Come
I'll
on.
never eat a pig because a pig is a cop, or better yet, a Terminator. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Try to play me out like as if my name was Sega. Like,
All right, Robbie.
I'm telling you when I might switch. Get up
Oh
again.
my god.
No, we're gonna give you that one. You might get extra credit for that one.
Pain on Canadian House of Pain. What?
All right, Lizzie, name 4 musicals. Any 4 musicals? 7 seconds. Go.
Cats, Aida, Wicked, and what's the last one? You have it in my head. Oh my god.
Oh, we ran out of time.
You know, she didn't need to mention 4 because Aida took care of all the other ones.
Whoa!
Wait, what? How's that? Explain that to me.
Because it's a great musical.
Oh, it's a great musical.
No other musicals needed to be mentioned.
That's a no.
Mamma
All
Mia.
right.
Mamma Mia.
Okay, Ellen, say something offensive to a dog. 7 seconds. Go.
You're gonna die in 15 years and I'm not.
Oh, that's
Or something.
pretty offensive.
Ellen, I would have
I don't know
gone
if that's
with
offensive, but that's
You're not
cool.
getting into fake heaven. You're not getting into fake heaven.
Well, I'm going to give you that one. I'm definitely giving you that one because that's pretty offensive.
My camera. Oh my god, my camera is great.
Oh, Robbie, you get another rap. All right, beatbox to any song you like. Beatbox to any song you like. You have 7 seconds. Beatbox to any song you like.
So,
Go.
you're going to shame me. Boots and cats.
Beatbox. I don't hear.
Beatbox.
Yeah,
Boots and cats.
beatbox.
Boots and cats. Boots and cats.
Okay, so that's
Cats.
a definite
Hey,
no.
Boots and cats. That's where you start.
No.
No, it
All right.
also requires
So you're
confidence.
currently tied with Ellen Dahl. Lizzie, have you gotten one yet? I don't even think you gotten one. All right.
No.
This is your last chance to catch up. Sing the chorus to any song. Sing the chorus to any song. 7 seconds. Go.
Thriller night. There you you go.
Yeah, we're gonna give you that. We're gonna give you that. All right. Yeah. Yes, definitely gonna give you that one. All right. All right, Lizzie, that's your first point. All right, Ellen, mimic Donald
God.
Trump. 7 seconds. This might be for the win, so go for it.
My daughter is so beautiful, and I wish I could have sex with her. That's what he's like. He like grabs your ass with his leg.
We're definitely giving you that one.
Where is the lie?
Definitely giving you that one. All right. Robbie, you're up. Oh, of course it got stuck. No, I don't want to end the game. I wanted to go to the next one.
Next screen.
All right, Robbie, let's go. All right, Robbie, sing any Disney song. Oh, this is the last one you got.
So much music.
All right.
Go.
A whole new world, a new horizon. Don't forget.
We're gonna give you that one. That was good. All right,
Yeah, that was good.
Oh,
I
that
like
was
the
cute.
song choice.
That was cute. Okay, Liz E. Name 3 colors that are not in the rainbow. Go.
Black, gray, and white.
Oh,
Wow.
that's right. That was pretty good.
That was really eloquent.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll give you that one. All right. Definitely give you that one. All right. So this is between Ellen Dahl and Robbie Rock. Oh, you get the same thing, Ellen. Sing the chorus to any song. Sing the chorus to any song. You ready? Go. 7 seconds.
Hey, Jude.
I don't know.
chorus.
I'm a little iffy on this one. I don't know.
Why? Are you kidding me?
That's the chorus?
You didn't.
That's the opening line.
I don't think I'm going to give you this one. No. All right, Robbie, this is for the win, Robbie. This is for the win. Whisper something naughty you would say in bed. Whisper something naughty you'd say in bed. Go.
I'm so glad you got that one.
Jose has to verify.
I'm sorry. I farted.
You farted? What's the...
I'm sorry.
All right. We're going to give you that. All right, Robbie, you win the game. You win the game. You guys are silly.
So funny.
That was a funny one. I enjoyed that show. All right, let's go to let's get some shout outs in. All right, Lizzie, shout outs.
So shout out to my girl Melanie. I don't know if you guys know that I've been drinking from a new cup today. Melanie sent me.
I saw that.
She's like me. Looks just like me. Oh my gosh.
Aw,
That's
It has
cute.
my
so
face.
cute.
It has my name. It has my old waistline. Like yeah. So thank you.
Your old waistline.
I appreciate it.
All right, Robbie.
I really want to give a shout out to the convoy of grocery store cashiers, retail shelf stockers, mail carriers, nurses, doctors, all levels of EMS, and every one of those people who are showing up every day and working hard and haven't stopped. Thank you.
Ellen.
Yeah, shout out to Neil Young and Joni Mitchell for pulling on Spotify for their refusal to remove episodes of the Joe Rogan Experience that spread vaccine misinformation. So, shout out to them. And shout out to the people who like Neil Young and can't listen to him anymore, because I would definitely be sad if I wasn't an Apple Music listener.
Yeah.
So.
All right, and my shout out is to my niece Adrienne. I had dinner with her and my mother-in-law last night, and we had a great time. She's only 7 years old, but she's so funny. We actually ended up watching the Janet Jackson documentary together. I was surprised how into it she was. I mean, she was like into it.
That's awesome.
She was like all into it. All right, and then our final shout out goes to the winner of Pet Shenanigans of the Week. This week goes out to Phoenix. Mel Blaine, my wife, posted a pic of our pup wearing his new sweater after an unfortunate wintertime haircut. So he's freezing around the house. All right. To see all of the pets and post your favorite pet's photo or video, join TLS Pet Shenanigans Facebook group, mypetshenanigans.com. All right, and that is officially all of the time we have for today's show. I'd like to thank all of you guys for joining us. We hope you maybe learned something, gained a new perspective, or even got some things off your chest. We will be back next week with another guest and more amazing, deep discussions. Don't forget, the podcast is available for download every Monday, so subscribe to Truth, Lies, Shenanigans everywhere you listen to podcasts. Also, don't forget to also subscribe to the Beyond the Scars podcast. But did I do something? I see everybody laughing.
I'm still
Yeah,
I'm
what are you
thinking about Rob whispering. I'm sorry. I'm
Okay.
still.
Rob's All right, the conversation is not ending here. We're going to continue to keep the cameras rolling for the after show exclusively at TLSfans.com. Head over there and listen now. We only got about 15 minutes to talk about something, so we might say something interesting. We'll see. Our winner for the final thought of the day, that would be Mr. Robbie Rock with his whispering. Take us out, Robbie.
So to the people who are out there fighting for our freedoms, guess what? We are all tired of COVID and the restrictions that we have had to live under over the last 2 years. So all of us are in this together, and we won't be out of it any sooner by creating super spreader events. People need to remember that citizenship carries both rights and responsibilities. Wear your mask to prevent your germs from landing on others. Get vaxxed so that we can free up hospital resources for elective surgeries, so that we can go visit our sick friends and family members. Get vaxxed so that you can minimize the symptoms that should you contract the Rona.
Preach. All right, thank you, Liz, Ellen, Robbie Rock, and our people behind the scenes working hard, Nesmi, Gianni, Jose, Olivia E. But most importantly, we've got to thank you for watching and listening to our shenanigans each and every week, and we will see you next time.
Bye, bye, bye.